I'm going to be delving into my Polish culinary heritage and making a bigos, which is a Polish stew. I'm going to follow a family recipe that my dad's published in a local recipe book. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at the recipe. It's traditionally made by hunters, mushroom fanatics or fungophiles, and it also contains sauerkraut. So let's go hunting. I'm off to the butcher's to get a hock of pork, or a knuckle of pork. I'm not someone who frequents a butcher. So the idea of going into one asking for cuts of meat is daunting. You know, well, going into a butcher is a bit like going into a plumbing merchant. Plumbing merchants or a timber yard, you know, where you're not fluent in the jargon, which is why a real sense of pride to come out with this ham hock, knuckle of ham. One white cabbage. Now we've got a lot of sauerkraut. We've got one hock of pork. We've got water from the tap. We've got roasting pork, which is here. The Żywiecka. We've got shitloads of that. We've got the Bolitas mushrooms that are now Scottish chestnut mushrooms because it's regional variations. Onions. We've got dry red wine over there. We've got prunes. And prunes aren't something I ever wish to go down my gullet, but for the sake of, you know, honouring my heritage, and I'm allowed to honour that. I'm not allowed to honour heritages that aren't mine, but prunes. Juniper. We do not have juniper. And the Polski Sklep didn't sell them, and Morrison's didn't sell them, Lidl didn't. This stew was made by hunters not adhering to every clause of any recipe. They were making it up as they went along. And when we were hunting around Pollock Shields, we made it up as we went along. You know, whilst honouring our heritage. If there's one man that may have enjoyed a bowl of bigos with his rye bread, it's Mr. Frederick Chopin. And I think it was the second ballade that was written about foraging for mushrooms. In the Parisian streets. Now, the eagle-eyed among our viewers will notice there's two chopping boards here, and quite a lot of viewers are going to think, yeah, one's for meat and one's for non-meat. Incorrect! One's for garlic and one's for everything else. Certain people don't like their fruit salads tasting of garlic. I don't care because I lost my sense of taste and smell. Cabbage is something that I've cut maybe 3 times in my life, but it's very intuitive. And if you cut, and you think, is that still too big? Yes, it is. Cut again. Eastern Poland is notorious for finely chopped sauerkraut. Whereas the coastal Poles, harking from Gdynia, Gdansk, they like to chop their sauerkraut quite broadly, and I'm going to honour that because, apart from anything else, it's less labour intensive. We're talking about hunters in the Black Forest, or whatever the forest is in.
Black Forest is in Germany.
Yeah, well, I'm going to call home to clarify some finer points of the recipe because it's fairly incomprehensible. Hi, Dad.
Hello.
How's it going?
Alright, how's it going with you?
Good. I'm prepping the big.
Right.
Gosh.
Right. What did you up?
Well, I've just chopped cabbage, onions, mushrooms. I'm about to drain the sauerkraut, and I was just wondering how why you do that. Is that not just getting rid of flavour?
No, because sauerkraut is kept in brine.
Right.
And if you don't, you should drain it and rinse the sauerkraut through as well.
Do we not like brine? Are we not going to get saltiness from brine?
Yeah, but it's overwhelming. It's just too much if you don't do that.
Right.
We had a famous episode. I think you might have been there. In France, my mum made a bigos and she forgot to strain and rinse the sauerkraut. And we ended up having to put loads of potatoes in it to soak up the salt.
Right. Okay, well, I will strain the sauerkraut.
Yeah,
And
strain
rinse.
it into a colander and just
Run some water through it.
run loads of water through it. I mean, you taste it and you'll see what I mean. It's just overwhelming otherwise. Are you doing the full recipe now?
Oh, yes.
How many hocks have you got?
Okay, at this juncture, I'd like to show you what I've done, which is prep. Bramley apple, 1 large. It was supposed to be 2, but that just seemed mental. I'm not making a dessert. We've got Szwedzka, Polish sausage. We've got loin pork. And we've got ham hock in the water, soaking. Don't really know why, but that's where it is. Mushrooms, 2 boatloads, 2 onions, and a bucket of cabbage. Given the ratio of meat to veg, I might just add a little bit more non-meat. Anyway, let's start cooking. Now I'm boiling 800 ml of water here, and that's going to be that's the liquid of the dish. We're going to put the ham hock in there presently once we brought that to a boil. Cooking is a therapy, especially for me. I do it all the bloody time, but it's a therapy, and it can be very therapeutic as well. But if you really want to sort of minimise stress when cooking, which I think is important, find the smallest kitchen possible to undertake your 10-person dish in, because it's important for me that the dish barely fits in the room. That's important. Now we're going to add the broad shred white cabbage in, and at this point, I mean, you know, where only 5 minutes ago you know, we were dealing with abstracts. Now take a look at what's going on. We've got a bowl of food here, guys. Yeah, the recipe doesn't say much more about this part, but I'm intuitively stirring it. I'm just stirring it because it's important, I think, with stewing to keep a constant mélange. In a separate frying pan, very important you keep this separate. We're going to fry in a little oil. We're going to fry onions, which I've got the garlic in there as well. Let's just get that oil sizzling. Get that oil sizzling. I like to just do that with the oil to make sure it's perfectly oxidized. Add a little more. Never pour all the oil in at once. Make sure you get it wrong first, and then slug in a little bit more. Absolutely lovely stuff. Fry off those onions a little bit, not too much. Everything needs. Now I'm going to pour in. Oh
Nope.
shit! This is looking very good. Now I'm going to put 10 prunes in. They pitted?
Mm-hmm.
They are. Have you had them?
Mm-hmm.
You cheeky monk.
I love prunes.
I'm also going to add a couple of bay leaves and a couple of sprigs of rosemary. People say toss it in. You don't need to toss it in. You can place it very carefully. But you can also toss. With rosemary, it's good to toss from another room, especially because, you know, I'm trying to toss in a room this size. Problems. So I like to toss from here. What I'm doing is retro-sizing the shoulder. Lordy, lordy, lord. And now that's starting to look like something relatively familiar. Now I'm going to fry off the mushrooms in a healthy slab of butter. Name another food which is measured in knobs. None. It's just butter. Butter is monopolising the knob. Isn't knob is an SI unit, isn't it? A knob.
Mm-hmm.
10 knobs to a schlong.
A wang, perhaps.
Apples in. Zlop. A zlop of apples. Okay, I'm putting a pinch of, more than a pinch. I'm putting more than a pinch in. I'm putting a Thomas pinch in of caraway seeds in. You'll know I haven't added any salt yet.
Why is that?
Don't know.
I can tell you why.
Because it dries the meat out, isn't it, meat?
No, it's because the sauerkraut is already salty.
We
the
don't
ham
need
cock is
salt, do
salty.
we?
Yeah.
There's no added salt. Is there?
I don't think so. Doesn't
Not
call
in
for
Dad's
salt.
recipe.
Yeah.
But my parents are notorious for under-seasoning their food. So maybe
You can
that's
salt at the end if needed.
Yeah, salt to taste. Salt to taste. I'm going to add a slosh of wine. I'm just going to let that trickle down economically. On these mushrooms, mate, they look fucking excellent. There's a great man once said, if it ain't good enough for drinking, it ain't good enough for cooking. A slurp for me, a slurp for me's. Okay, I'm putting the mushrooms in, and that spells the end of phase 2. Now, that goes on there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's all of the business in one pan now. Cook slowly for 1.5 hours, stirring regularly. This is 24 hours after the fact, which I think is the minimum time that you want your Bigos to stew. It's absolutely delicious. You know, people talk about the transportational power of food to take us into the past, as Proust so famously did in À la recherche de temps with his Madeleine, which crumbled in his mouth with the tea and took him back to his childhood. Where am I now? I'm in my kitchen at home. It's Christmas time, and you know, there's loads of people milling about eating Bigos. And that's the power of a family recipe. Right. There's a few things that strike me about the stew. One is the apples have completely disappeared. There's not a single discernible apple in there. It's dissolved in to the mix, and it just lends the taste to it. It's not there. The chunks of apple aren't there. Neither are the prunes. The ham hock has fallen off the bone, and there's little, you know, pulled porky bits. It's a lovely red colour as well. The loin pork, which I was worried was going to stay tough or get tougher, has not. It's actually very good. It's breaking up, it's tender. The mushrooms are, I wouldn't say melt in the mouth. They're like lovely savoury jelly bits. Little fun, you know. The cabbage is fantastic. It's sweet. You've never experienced cabbage as tasty as this. I said earlier, my taste is gone. It's compromised. But this is really getting past. This is powerful enough for anyone suffering from anosmia from COVID. Very good.